Well, hello guys. It's been a while since I put any videos on with me in them anyway, because I've decided mainly that my channel is going to be it's going to consist of other YouTube videos, and if you are watching my channel right now, you probably understand that. Look in my library, I guess it's called, or my playlists, and you'll see all these different subjects and things that people are putting up on YouTube, and I've categorized them into different playlists. So this one here is for the Souk Independent News channel. I had to do this, and it breaks my heart to do it. But today is the 6th of August 2026, and this morning I heard a gunshot coming from down the Demanuel Creek way, probably pretty close to the Demanuel Creek Estates, because if it was any closer it would have been a louder bang, but it was one shot. Yesterday morning at just around 6 o'clock in the morning, as the sun's just starting to rise, sorta, I heard hounds. They were going nuts, like ruff, 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 different ones. You know, you could hear there were several. And I'm thinking, oh boy, there's a bear or a cougar or something down there. It's gotten the dogs in the neighbor's yard all fired up and stuff. I just thought, I wish people would not leave their garbage out or leave access for wild animals, especially bears, because they don't really know much better. And being on Demanuel Creek, it is a natural bear habitat, which is slowly being eroded. Last year, when I went down to watch the salmon run, and these are all just ordinary chum salmon, like they're nothing special. I went down to look for the salmon run last year, and I'm serious, I had to look hard to find a few salmon. You know, I went over about a mile up and down. I may have seen 6 or 7 salmon spawning. I saw a sea run cutthroat, must have been, because they follow the salmon up. And I was very careful and quiet, and I'm looking around. As soon as I came to the creek, I saw this splash, and it was really fast, and it went whipping back like it saw me. It was just sitting in the shallows. And as soon as I came up to the creek, all of a sudden this whip thing goes back down, because it was scared. It must have been sitting there in shallow water and saw me. Believe it or not, fish can actually see. Yeah, they can. So anyway, natural habitat for bears, slowly getting eroded away. They've sold all these properties along the creek, and now where I used to be able to walk along the creek freely, they've got private property signs saying no trespassing. Well, does a bear understand that? No. The bear are hunting around now looking for early fish coming up. I saw the mother and 2 baby bears, two young ones, last week when I was up by, I guess it was up by the fire hall, or just, wait a sec, yeah, no, it was just down towards Souk from the fire hall on Otter Point Road. I saw them crossing the road. So what they're doing is they're crisscrossing all these areas looking for food. The mother's trying to teach her cubs how to hunt. So anyway, yesterday morning I heard all the hounds, and they were all barking like crazy. Lasted about 5 minutes, and then there was nothing. No gunshot, nothing. I thought, oh well, hope the bear's moving along and nobody's bothering to chase it, or, you know, scare it or whatever. So this morning, like I live up by so anyway, So I live about probably about a mile and a half from where I heard the gunshot. It sounded like about a mile and a half away. This morning, just as the sun was coming up, or just around 6, maybe a few minutes later than 6 a.m., I'm sleeping with my window open because it's bloody hot in my bedroom. And all of a sudden at 6 I heard bang, and the echo went through all the mountains. That was it. One bang. I wonder what that was. And I'm thinking, well, you're not allowed to hunt in these areas too close to people, right? So the bears have been living here for thousands of years around these creeks. Man has moved in. There used to be a lot less people out here 20 years ago when I moved here. But here we are, 2026. The bears are still going up and down the creek looking for salmon. There's hardly any left, salmon. Maybe this year there will be more. I'm going to be monitoring that. But it saddens me to think that they might have killed one of the bears. Sometimes we have seen steelhead come up Demamio Creek. I don't know about lately, but when I first moved here 20 years ago, there were still a few steelhead that had come up. And they'd go right into Young Lake, which is across the road from where I'm at, Poyer Lake. And we used to get chum salmon coming right into Poyer Lake and becoming landlocked. I remember the first year I lived here, I see guys going out there now and then. It was always the same boat, old timers that have been here for years. They'd go out at a certain time of the summer and just carefully troll around with their electric motor really quietly. And on 2 occasions I saw them pull out salmon that were... On a couple of occasions I saw them pull out salmon that were like... They looked like trout, but they weren't. They were like about 2 feet long. Maybe a little less. But yeah, sure, 20 inches for sure. Pulling them right out. And there wasn't a lot. There was one year, and the next year I saw them pull another. And it's probably another year I didn't see them because I was busy working or something. But isn't that something, eh? I told the Fish and Wildlife Department about it, that I saw the salmon. I went out in a little boat and I saw the schools of baby salmon this big, and then after a while they get up to be about 10 inches long. I don't know what happened to them after then, but I thought they were trout. But trout don't school in a school like that. Salmon do. So we're talking landlocked salmon. So I told the Fisheries and Wildlife Department, and they went down there a few years, about actually 4 years later, and they started building a new culvert underneath Otter Point Road, which would allow a clear creek for a clear area for the salmon to get up, because it had all been overgrown and there weren't many coming in anymore. It's funny because nobody called me back or anything, but I know that it was my call that made this happen. They put signs up down there, down at the William Simmons Park, right at one of the parts where it starts at Otter Point Road, where the creek comes in to Poyer Lake. So they put this little stand up, like the parks do when you've got a little information stand. You've got, your signs saying this is where you are and that. Instead, they had this one saying chum salmon spawn here. And isn't that amazing? They put the culvert in, and this is all when the salmon stocks in Demamio Creek were being depleted. There weren't as many coming. Every year I went down to watch the salmon spawn. There was quite a few, actually, the first few years. Which is why I got really excited and called the Fisheries and Wildlife Department. But anyway, after that sign had been up a few years, it disappeared. And I didn't see those schools of little fish in there anymore. So it's almost like too little, too late. Or at least too late, because they did a fine job of building the culvert. So anyway, here we go this morning. Bang! A bear down. That's what I'm thinking. How can man expect to just move into any territory he wants and just claim it as his own and create roads that create dust in the summer that screws up all the wildlife? It does. Dusty roads wreck all the flowers and stuff and scare animals away. And it also creates passageways for people to go up there and hunt. And yeah. Then they lock the gates and only certain people can get in. It's not like it's public land, but it is public if you can get a key. This really makes me sick. Like, you're supposed to respect wildlife. In other words, you're supposed to realize that you don't leave food out and things out that bears can get into, because like they say, a fed bear's a dead bear. They used to relocate them up into the forests here on Vancouver Island. But I don't know if you've seen one of my older videos about the forests up there on the West Coast Road. A lot of it, especially near the water, between the water and the road, and then up another mile from the road, has basically been all wiped right out. And that's the wildlife belt. Wildlife likes to go to the water. It likes to come down the creeks. Likes to go to the water at the seaside. There's food down there for them too. And yeah, the loggers come through and completely wipe it out, and then any animals that are left get run over or shot. And this makes me sick to my stomach. I do not understand. Don't people like animals? Don't people like wildlife? Don't people want to go fishing? I can't believe it. Lost Creek it looks like a total loss now. Used to be all these wild rainbow trout coming down from way up higher up in the mountains. I don't know if they're there anymore, but the last couple of times I've driven past Lost Creek, I've seen the water is yellow now, and it never was yellow. 20 years ago it was crystal clear. I could go there in the summer and scoop up clear water and drink it, and I never got sick. It was cold water. Now they're logging the hell out of Vancouver Island and wiping out the wildlife. That's why I moved here, because stayed here. Because I like the wildlife, and I respect the wildlife. But guess what? Some people seem to think that wildlife has no place in our backyards. Well, all I can say is, before you build, maybe you should reconsider where you're going to build. And definitely do your homework on the area, because this is making me sick. Sick to my stomach, man. I don't believe what they've done to Vancouver Island. When I was a kid here, you could go and find little creeks that weren't even on the map that had little salmon in them. Yeah, little wee creeks. There was one out at Jordan River that came right down the Jordan River beach from up where the Wade Shake Mill used to be. There was a creek that came down right on the beach. You couldn't even see it unless you were walking really up high on the beach. There'd be this little creek about yay thick or wide. And I remember seeing little baby salmon. They were almost totally silver, and they were in that creek. They didn't go up very high. They only went up like, I only saw them up for about maybe 50 feet up the creek. I went up a little higher. The creek was too thin. So the salmon were just sitting there, and baby salmon were sitting there in this little creek that came onto Jordan River Beach. Now I've gone up there and looked, and there's nothing. Isn't this like killing our planet? Isn't it wrong to kill your planet? What are we going to live on? It's very upsetting. I'll have no part in it. I won't go out shooting anything. I don't even own a gun. Never have. Yeah. So anyway, here we are. It is right now the 6th of August, 2026. And I'm signing out. See you next time. I hope you enjoy my playlists, actually. Tell you the truth, my channel is about life on the west coast of Vancouver Island, but as life gets wiped out, I run out of things to post. Except for these, and I'm going to post this shit. Sorry about the swearing, but it's just what came out. Think about it, man. We share this planet with wildlife. We don't come here and wipe it all out, do we? I don't. Hope you have a nice day. Until next time, bon voyage.